Whereas Zenitsu, he's passed the fuck out, obviously, and does his thunderclap and flash, goes around, frees everyone, destroys the belt, and Inosuke just stands there and looks at him. He's like, maybe you should stay asleep all the time. It's like, thank you, Inosuke. You're thinking what everyone else thinks. Welcome into Anime Plus, episode 61. Hopefully you're having an incredible day, whatever day you were listening or perhaps watching this wonderful podcast over our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Sparky3. Give us a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, be a friend, tell a friend. Joining me, as always, I have Zach here in the studio. Zach, how you doing? How you feeling today?
I'm doing good. I'm really concerned about what we're going to talk about because nothing uploaded anything this week.
That is true. We do have a limited show. This could be one of like the only, if not the only Anime Plus episode in history that could actually be like
under an hour,
the minimum threshold that I ask for from all the boys. Like for every podcast episode of the main shows, any bonus stuff, I don't care. But for the main 3 shows, I always just ask at least 30 minutes. Anything beyond, I don't give a fuck. Well, try to keep it under 2 hours, preferably, because we've come close a couple times with a couple shows, but that's not the point. But this could be a very short one today, because you're right. I mean, Yashahime and Dragon Quest didn't really have a whole lot come out there. The Platinum End episode came out very, very late today. It is out now, but neither of us have watched it. We will talk about last week's Platinum End episode, because I'm curious of Zach's thoughts on things, because my thoughts on things, I notice, are a lot of people's thoughts on things. Like the comments were blowing up about a certain aspect of Platinum End. So we will talk about last week's Platinum episode, which was episode 12. I do have Demon Slayer that I'll touch on. And then we will be talking about one newbie for the winter season, which is Orient, a series that I've personally been really excited for to see it come out with this season. Me and Zach both watched the first episode. We'll give our thoughts on it. And then next week, we will have some more shows kick off as well. Tribe 9 kicks off on Monday. That is on Funimation only. There are some other shows kicking off this weekend. I'm drawing a blank on what, because I'm a great host. So next week will be good because we got some more shows to talk about. But today, Orient, Demon Slayer, and Platinum End. And then our normal chapter reviews, of course. If you could go follow us on Twitter at Anime Podcast, we'd greatly appreciate that, as well as check out the other shows like Game Static, a terrible football show, and talking about movies and stuff. And lastly, if you want to support us further, the Patreon is a great way to do so. But don't feel obligated, just be a friend, tell a friend. And if you are a video game fan, I definitely recommend going and checking out Game Static episode 70, where John, Zach, and I talked about all of the games coming out in 2020 that we currently 2022 that we currently know of, and gave our thoughts and everything, as well as predictions for this upcoming year. So definitely go check that out. There are going to be some clips coming out. By the time this episode's out, there will be some clips out for that as well. Friday and Saturday, they will both drop at 7 a.m. So definitely go check that out. We'd appreciate that. All right. So, Zach, before we jump into some anime talks, do you have anything on your mind that we need to chat about? Anything that you saw in the industry? Anything outside the industry? Anything?
Did you guys see any of that stuff recently about possibly Bebop getting revived and getting a second season?
Wait, that's already being talked about? Possible revival?
Yeah, because I've noticed at least several articles this week from the fan base that I saw these articles and went, this is the best live action so far, because there's a fan base that's fighting for it. Which
is rare. That doesn't happen often. No, I did not see that.
So yeah, there's been at least a couple articles, I can't remember where they've either started talking about and speculating of the possibility of maybe Bebop being revived in some form or fashion.
Yeah, did not see that. I'd be very shocked if it did, but hey, at least the series actually has a fan base behind it. Like you said, that's very rare for a live action anything.
Yeah.
Did you see some of the first day rankings for our new January Shonen Jump series?
Nope.
Pretty solid, pretty solid.
Are they really?
Yeah, listen to this. Because also shout out to Anime Plus News, did not do it. 2 weeks in a row. All right, so the week before, like I said, I was gone for like 4 days. This was Christmas week. I was gone for 4 days. I came home very late that Sunday when I record for Monday. And I just didn't feel like fucking doing it, period. I just didn't. I didn't feel like doing it Monday either. This past week, I did do it. I recorded. It was like a 15-minute episode. But for some reason or another, it disappeared from both my card and the hard drive. And I promise to God, as God is my witness, I recorded on both. So I don't know what happened. I genuinely don't, but it just disappeared, and I was just like so devastated by that. I'm like, I really don't want to record this again. I really don't. And I was going to try to record it again Monday, and I'm just like, Nah, it'll be all right. That sucks because
It really does.
I will openly admit that Anime Plus News is already in jeopardy with me.
Yeah.
I hate to admit that because I do acknowledge it's one of the more popular listens on YouTube, but I just don't have motivations to do it on Sunday. My motivations are because I don't know. While I don't mind reporting the news like that, and I'll say it up front, I have zero intentions to ever bring the news back into the show because I do like our show now a lot more. But with the news, I like having conversation. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I miss the conversation.
Why don't we record it on Saturdays then?
What, the news stuff?
Yeah.
Me and you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's going to be a long segment.
We might consider that. We might do that because I do miss the conversation.
I was about to say, we're already here in studio on Saturdays.
Yeah, we are. We are in studio for Game Static. So that's something we'll keep in mind. We'll run it by John, let John know that, hey, we got to do this first. We'll hit you up afterwards, or if he's coming over, just like, hey, just sit in the room, make a funny joke every once in a while, or just shut up, either or. Anyway, so I do want to shout some of these out because these are pretty nice. So naturally, 1, 2, and 3 are 3 of the big ones that do sales. JJK, of course, number 1. That came out on Christmas Day, so that one got a little bit of a head start, so naturally it's going to be number 1. Dr. Stone at 2, Black Clover at 3. This is for first day rankings, by the way. Blue Box got number 5.
Hey.
Yeah. Elusive Samurai at 8. Ayakashi Triangle at 10. Mission Yozakura Family at 14. And Sakamoto Days at 11 as well. That is Sakamoto Days Volume 5. Volume 5 at 11. Mission Yozakura Family at 14. And then Me and Roboco, which is copying a Demon Slayer cover of the Earth Pillar.
Yeah.
It was his cover where he's like doing this and crying. That's Roboco's cover this week.
Take it all.
That got 26, and then the newbie that I completely dropped, P6, its first volume came out, and it led off with a 45th ranking, which is not terrible.
That's not terrible for what we've seen in the past.
No, it's not, because it gives examples of what we've seen in the past, because literally in this bunch is Red Hood and Neru. These are the finales, and they kick off at 136 and 153. Second day, though, I'll kind of run through that as well because I guess these are interesting to me. The top 3 remain the same. Blue Box actually went up 1. It went up to number 4. Elusive Samurai stayed at 8. Ayakashi at 11. Sakamoto at 13. Yozakura Family at 25. And then P6 went down to 52. So that's still not bad.
That's not a terrible gap loss, honestly.
No, and I don't think it's going to be like an unbelievable blowout seller or anything. Like I still think I feel like it could potentially hit 10K. For this first volume, I feel like it could, but I feel like when we get the results here in a few days for the actual hard numbers, it'll probably be like close to 10K is what I'm kind of feeling.
I mean, I've been kept reading it. I mean, it's not bad.
Are you still reading up to date?
I mean, it hasn't been terrible content.
It just wasn't for me. I dropped it completely. I mean, if you want me to add it back onto the show, I don't care. Just let me know. But
I mean, what I really want to know, when are we ever going to read Me and Roboco? Because that's apparently something we're missing out on.
Man, I know. I need to sit down and actually start to try to read it. Just like I need to sit down and start to actually try to read Bleach.
Yeah.
I need to read this. I get ready for the final season because I want to be there for the final season this fall. I want to. Josh has been reading Bleach. He's actually made the time to read Bleach. He literally reads 2 things a week right now. One Piece and Bleach.
Hey.
He reads nothing else right now. And he's really enjoying Bleach.
Meanwhile, I've picked up like 3 new Webtoons since Solo Leveling's done.
Rip. Also, shout out to Josh. He got a PS5.
Hey.
He managed to snag one. He's picking it up next week. I almost defriended him from life, though. I will say that. He almost got defriended and blocked for life. Almost. Because he's sitting there going by some games. We're talking together about games to pick up because he's going to pick them up this weekend because he didn't get the consoles like Wednesday. And he's just like, ooh, I can get The Witcher 3. I'm like, bro, listen to me. If you get the fucking Witcher 3, when you have missed an entire generation of incredible games, because the last, besides Nintendo, the last fucking console we have was a 360. I was like, if you get Witcher 3 instead of a Horizon or a Ghost of Tsushima or a Red Dead Redemption 2, because he's already buying Spider-Man for sure.
Pick up Returnal.
I was like, if you buy The Witcher 3 over any of those, I'm going to punch you in the dick and block you from life. Because I had to point out to him, because he's just like, but The Witcher 3 is going to look so much better. I'm like, it's going to barely look better.
Yeah.
Because the next gen patch is not out. Just because you're playing it on a PS5 does not mean it's going to look like fucking a godsend, because you're literally playing a PS4 version of the game. So it's going to look a little bit better than your Switch, but it'll have better load times, and that's it. It's like you buy The Witcher 3 when the next gen patch comes out, where you can truly use The Witcher 3 to the full extent that the PS5 can deliver. Man, I was getting so mad at him, but he's like, I'm just trolling with you, bud. I'm not going to get it. I'm like, you got me this time.
He's saying that he had it in his hands and was ready to purchase it.
No, his first buys are going to be Miles Morales, the launch edition that comes with the Spider-Man remaster, God of War, and Horizon are gonna. And then he said his next purchase is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy and Red Dead Redemption 2. So looking forward to hearing his thoughts on these, especially Spider-Man, as I know he's going to jump into Spider-Man immediately. Which I'm looking forward to hearing his thoughts on that game, because it's still one of my favorite. I actually started a new playthrough like a few days ago that I'm kind of touching in and out of, but. Anyway, you want to go ahead and jump into stuff? You got anything else?
No, not really.
All right, well, let's kick the show off with the newbie on the block for us, Orient, which is by the creator of Magi. This will be a 12-episode run for this season. Zach, what was your immediate thoughts and takeaways on this show and the concept? The concept being like, the world there, at one time there was these Onis, demons, whatever, and then you had the Bushi, which fought against them. But once we come back to our main characters and where we are in time, it got a little flipped throughout the storytelling history.
Yes.
What is your thoughts on this approach? What's your thoughts on just like our characters and how the show kind of kicked off?
I mean, I feel like it's a nice approach. It is very appropriate for that sort of style of the winners decide the history sort of thing that we see in series from time to time, and that it's been enough generations since the beginnings of when that story happened that the people are willingly accepting this knowledge, believing that it's truth.
Yep.
And just the one weird thing to me was the Bushi have to wear their katanas to be identified. I sort of understood it from it
was like a mark. It's like a mark of shame.
Well, I sort of get it, because it was more or less those things of making a target for people to take out frustration on and whatnot, and more or less taking away from the Onis and putting it on somebody else, and just more or less further pushing the Bushi name down in the ground. So, I mean, I get why it's there, but at the same time, I felt like it was a bit odd with how it was placed in the episode. My honestly first takeaway was Musashi and Kojiro, our main characters. When it showed Musashi, I went, why is it only showing him with a single sword? And then it showed off his weird pickaxe scythe thing. I went, 2 sickles on one scythe. Because if you didn't know, Musashi and Kojiro are famous swordsmen. Musashi was known for using a dual wield style, and Kojiro for a drawing style. And in most stories, they're paired up as rivals rather than allies.
I actually had no idea about that. That's super cool, and it makes me like this a lot more. I didn't know about that.
So, yeah, the first thing when it said the names were Musashi and Kojiro, I was like, why does Musashi only have a single blade? Then I noticed the second, I was like, oh, I'll let it pass.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we get introduced to our main characters, they're kids, like, dueling it out, whatever, and they have, like, the dreams of being, part of a band of Bushi, whatever, to fight against the Oni. You see, was it Kojiro's father, or was it?
Kojiro's, yeah.
Okay. Talking about being a Bushi and stuff like that. Then we get brought to the present where, like, Musashi is in school, essentially, learning how to be a miner.
That was the funniest thing to me, too, was fucking miner school.
Yeah, miner school. Just learning how to mine, getting ready to mine for your gods.
It was just straight up anime school for mining. I was just like, this is the anime school I never knew I never wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Because, kind of like how I led off this thing. So essentially, once we get back to like the present for our characters, the Oni, which is of course the demons, our bad guys, obviously, the history kind of got flipped in storytelling, where it's like they're praised as like these almighty worthy gods and
these saviors who came and freed the people from the Bushi. Yeah,
and the Bushi are like the absolutely just the worst. And in terms of like Kojiro, like his father was a Bushi, so like what Zach was talking about with like the sword, he's got to carry his sword around at all times as like a mark of shame, because he's a descendant of a of Ibushi, and everyone looks down upon him, looks down on him at the katana. Like there's one scene where he's like picking up trash, and someone next to remarks like, "Why don't you use that shitty sword to pick up the trash instead?" You know, just bullshit like that.
Yeah.
You know, and then when it comes to like the mining school that Mushi's in, whatever, he's using the giant fucking scythe pickaxe thing. You know, which I think it's funny that he's the only one with this super giant fucking thing.
The only one with a customized pickaxe.
Yeah, and they're just mining away. They're getting ready for graduation to go work for the lords and saviors that they've been built up to know. They're basically completely brainwashed. Like, you know, even in school, like one class, and it's like, shout your dreams one last time. Everyone's like, I want to be a miner. I want to be a miner. And he's trying to fight back where he wants to shout his real dream of being a Bushi and fight against the Oni, but it's just like that's so frowned upon that he can't do it, essentially. And then, you know, once it comes graduation day, you know, everyone finds out the truth, you know, or at least that group. I mean,
yeah, because there's a whole parade through the city where they all walk off and go up the mountain and enter a gate, which was the Oni gate. Funny enough,
yep,
and go in and just see that the meal's like, hey, new slaves.
Yep,
and they're these Nekomata Onis, sort of just there eating ore, swallowing people.
Yep,
doing their thing.
And then you're meant to do that until you die. You know, and you know, before the actual graduation, you know, Mushi went to Kojiro and was trying to convince him to like go be a Bushi,
start a Bushi band.
Yeah, and you know, Kojiro in a loving way, you know, basically told him off and said, you know, I don't want to be with someone who sprouts out lies like you do, whatever. But it was really Kojiro like looking out for him as he thought, you know, because he's like, you deserve a happy life. Go or a normal life is what he said. It's like go be a miner essentially. I was like, well, that's clearly not a normal life. But then when he finds like his books and stuff, that's when he sees it. You know, as we see later, it's like, oh, he was being serious the whole time. He actually, you know, Mushi really did want to be a Buji because there's all these notes that he did where it's like, you know, him doing all the mining stuff and Mushi's been doing this entire time because he was training himself.
Which is a weird way to train yourself, to train how to do sword techniques with a pickaxe.
Yes. And also, what's with the fucking mount? I have a lot of questions about that.
What I have questions about here is what slightly triggered me is like, so you have this whole regulation of bushis and whatnot, and that they have to wear their swords around them with a chain, sort of like a prisoner, like I think they're called hakama, which is usually what the sword's tucked into. And when he was a kid, it had a ball on it, but as he's gotten older, the balls disappeared.
Yep.
Secondly,
I noticed that.
They have the Bushi just out on the outskirts of town, not even regulated. So they literally could be doing anything.
Yep.
They could literally be building a resistance and no fucks are being given.
Yep.
And then this Bushi shows up to help his buddy with a fucking bike that's apparently illegal.
Yep. With like some weird like crystals on the back or something.
Yeah. And I'm assuming ore, because I assume since there's mining, the ore has some sort of power.
And I also want to stress to the listeners that have no idea about Orient, when he says bike, I picture like a motorcycle. Motorbike. Picture an actual bike, and everything that we've said up to this point very clearly puts us in some older times. Yes, we mean an actual bike.
Yeah, it's a motorbike has ore in it, which I assume since they're making people miners, ore is going to play some factor in this series. And he's just able to draw his sword without the chain. He can choose whether to put the chain on or not and draw his sword whenever.
Yep.
So, like, for the Bushi to be their enemy and whatnot, the Oni really don't care about him for whatever reason. They don't bother to regulate him in any shape or form. So I'm just thinking, if the Bushi are your enemy, there's no fucking regulation. You're just like, hey, these are the bad people, pick on them people. But besides that, fuck off.
Right. Now, with once we actually got to the point of like some climax stuff, what was your thoughts on like let's say the actual action that we got? Because obviously there's an action shown, and how did you feel about it? Because I know one common complaint that I saw from a lot of comments is that everyone felt like the animation, I'm not gonna say is bad. It's not bad animation, but it's just kind of like I don't know. I guess everyone's spoiled by all this super amazing shit, so they're just like, oh, this is kind of basic. How did you feel towards like the actual combat that we actually get to see?
I mean, it was okay. I mean,
it was fine.
It wasn't anything special for what it was. I mean, it wasn't any like big fight. I mean, they're literally just mowing down grunts.
Yeah, which also in the episode teased a what did they call it? A Kishin?
Yeah, Kishin. A
Kishin's on the way, which is like some big bad or something. I don't know.
The Kishins are the ones who actually invaded. The Oni, I guess, you would more or less assume as regular soldiers, and Kishins would be sort of commander-esque type people.
Right. Overall, what was your thoughts as the show? Did you, if you had to give it a number grade off episode 1, how are you feeling about it? I felt like it was okay. I mean, I feel like after watching it, I probably hyped myself up a little too bit going into it. But I mean, it wasn't bad. It'll be a fun 12-episode watch, but I don't think it's anything that's going to blow me the fuck away. It's not going to be my next 86. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, based on skill, I would probably give it like a 7. I mean, it wasn't bad. It's something interesting enough that I'll probably watch through airing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have a packed winter season anyway. I mean, the headliners Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2 that none of us are going to review here, including Josh, who reviewed Attack on Titan the final season. None of us are going to review that. There are some other series like Tribe 9 is one that I am getting more and more pumped for the closer that we get. That is one that I'm actually really excited to watch.
Yeah, that series is going to be messed up.
It's gonna be a fun watch, I think. And then there was also another one like The Land of Leodel, whatever. Mm-hmm. That is one that Zach and I both checked out that we were kind of curious in. But like I said, I feel like Orient will be a fun 12-episode winter season watch. I don't think it's gonna be anything to like brutally go home and write about. Maybe once we get introduced to the other characters that kind of tease in the opening, which by the way, good opening. I did like the opening.
The opening was good. Ending was good too.
Yeah, ending was really good too. That so that's a couple big bonus points. And honestly, not only the opening and ending, just the OST was honestly very good as well. I did enjoy the music throughout the first episode. I will say I actually really like Musashi's design. I actually really like his character design. I think it's actually pretty cool. But maybe once we get introduced to a couple other characters, I know there's like a female pro tag that was kind of teased in the opening and stuff. Once we get introduced to the other characters and kind of see where we're going to continue to go with it.
When they showed off the female character in the opening, all I could think of was Talum.
right. So I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it's going to be a fun watch. Magi was interesting to say the least. So, being from the same creator, I imagine this one will be interesting in some capacity. So, I don't know. I mean, it was fun. I'm going to continue to watch it. We'll continue to review it on the show every week. I would say, if you got Crunchyroll, I would definitely recommend giving it a watch because, again, for this winter season, we don't have a whole lot that's popped out, really, or going to pop out. I've looked at the whole list like 100 fucking times trying to find that possible gem. I'm trying to find the second 86 for me. It's like, what's going to be the gem for this season? I haven't found it yet. Next up, Zach, did you have any thoughts at all that you wanted to share with the previous episodes of Dragon Quest and Yashahime? Literally anything.
Dragon Quest has decided to give a Pop an identity crisis once again. For like the 4th time this series. Like, legitimately, everyone else is training and doing crap, and Pop's having an identity crisis because they find out the gems that Avon was giving all his students who graduated apparently are going to have some special powers to be able to cast this super ultimate powerful purifying spell to combat Varn. And each one has a purpose for each person. They glow whenever they're doing that, and he can't get his to glow. So he literally spends 3 episodes running around having this identity crisis, only to come back after the girls go down to a dungeon and acquire that spell and come back for him to overhear him and still have an identity crisis and run off.
That sounds horribly boring.
I mean, for Pop's story, yes.
Okay.
Everyone else was sort of just doing training arc stuff, but Pop was running around like a lunatic trying to find an identity.
How about Yashahime? Anything to write home about?
The series was doing good. Then it did the weird crap with Zero. I mean,
that character that just like kind of implanted itself in season 1 as if we were supposed to know who it was.
Yes. So first off, the series had 3 whole plot lines going on. It had Setsuno's plot line of helping the other demon slayers up in the north. Toe was running around with Riku and Rion while being hunted down by Zero. And Moroha was doing Moroha things for the raccoon dogs to help Takeichi out. Only for Setsuna to kill the demons, then have a Home Alone episode. Toa gets captured by Zero, and they have some weird torture episode, which the torture I was very confused about. It was literally a guy getting high off her pain.
Okay.
They had some weird. They attached some weird bug to her, and Zero just smoked her and demoralized her to colors her pain and sadness, which those emotions were sucked up by the bug. This was sent into a plant that produced an aroma that the guy was just getting high off like he was Cheech and Chong. I don't know.
What the fuck's happened to this series?
I don't know. It was doing so well as this.
Like, from everything that you said up to this point, it sounded like it was on the rails and it was having a good time. Now it just sounds like it fucking derailed.
It went out a fucking shit show. I mean, literally the Setsuna episode, they defeated the demon and they had a whole thing of Setsuna can sleep now, so she's been affected by the new moon, so she becomes human now. Because when she had the dream butterfly, the new moon didn't affect her, so she just stayed demon all the time. Well, Kira found out that there was a demon coming after her while she was trying to hold off from falling asleep while she was human. So what she literally does is she writes down a bunch of notes about all these demons for the other demon slayers, because apparently she knows more about them than the other demon slayers, especially Kohaku, who's been a demon slayer for I don't know how long now at this point.
That's fucking true.
And it's literally a Home Alone episode, because the demon shows up in the village, comes the end, his little creatures go in, they get whipped. He walks in the door, and Hisu, one of Moroku's sons, just chilling by the stairs with 2 ropes, and he's just reading a notebook. If the demon's this tall, pull this rope. Spears come down, the demon dodges and goes too far, goes through a fucking spinning wall to be put into a catapult and then launched away. Like, it was straight up Home Alone-esque. Moroha did the whole thing with the raccoon things. I had no issue with on that one, actually. Moroha was fine. It was a soul set. Moroha being Moroha. Hachi still being a prick about the dead parents thing, which aren't actually dead. And yeah, no, that was actually totally fine. There was nothing wrong with Moroha's little part of it.
Nothing's ever wrong with Moroha. She's the best character.
Then after Setsuna's stuff, Shishomaru shows up, says, go, I'll deal with this. She runs off to go meet Rin. Rin cries a lot while she's suffering from the scale thing and says, go save Zero and Toa. She goes up to Zero and Toa. Her and Toa have a weird moment because Rin gave back Setsuna her memories back. And you come to find out. So even when Toa was a child, her little one aspect was, Setsuna!
Right.
Literally the entire time, even kids were picking on her saying, Setsuna's not real. And shit like that, and that's why she became a gangster. Well, we find out that before Setsuna's memories were taken away by the dream butterfly, Setsuna was going around everywhere going, sister! Sister! And I'm like, God damn it!
God fuck, man.
So they have this little moment where they hug it out, and Toa goes, I'm no longer mad at you, Zero. I'm not going to kill you. And Zero going, my God, that was all I needed, to be forgiven.
What?
And I don't want you to kill me anymore. The dog demon was powerful because he had family and he had love. I was like, what a fucking piece of shit.
This show fucking sucks, dude.
I was like, it was going so well. And then it has this whole moment, and they have their moment. Setsuna severs the tie from the dog demon. Zero's no longer pissy at all times. She gives up her curse. Rin gets saved. And Rion's like, Aunt Zero, help us find my father. She's like, this is goodbye. Kill me. And the fucking Riku shows up, stabs her in the heart, crying, and it's just like, this is what it was supposed to happen. And carries out. I was like, what the fuck?
This show fucking stinks, bro.
It was going so well.
I admire you so much for making it through season 1 and now making it through this bullshit, because I dropped it midway through season 1, let alone this.
But season 2 was going so well. And then they did this shit. And then to finish it off, Jonkin fell off from Shishomaru's little sash thing when Shishomaru was flying off and lands on Moroha and Takeichi, and they take him to the Tree of Ages where Rin's being held up, only for them to chill there while Jonkin spends the entire episode running into the tree trying to go into it. And Shishomaru shows up and he's just like, oh, Moroha, take this jewel. And hands her the black pearl, and it's just like, Your parents are inside that. Peace.
Ooh.
And walks into the tree to go see Rin.
Well, that's actually kind of an interesting ending.
Well, it doesn't end there.
Oh.
Moroha then proceeds to
Could have ended it there.
end up at the well from that Kagome always used. Only for Kiranmaru to get there because he's still chasing this little spirit kid with a pinwheel.
Fuck, I forgot he was a thing.
Yeah. It's still a thing with time and whatnot. He chases it down and it happens to just lead him to her. And he's just like, half demon girl. Yoink. I'm going to destroy this and kill your parents. Acquire that pinwheel for me. And I'm just like, what the fuck?
And that was the end?
That was the end.
All right. It had a better ending, and then they fucked it up by adding that.
I have no idea what happened. It was going so well. And they did this shit.
I'm so glad I'm not watching that. I feel bad for you, though. But at the same time, I feel bad for you, but this was your choice. I wasn't making you do this.
Hey, I was actually fine with season 2 until these last couple episodes. I don't know what happened with the writers, but they suddenly went, right, our time's about to run up. Let's wrap this shit up.
All right, well, let's jump over to Platinum Man. Let's do that, and I'll finish off with Demon Slayer since that was actually a new episode. So episode 13 of Platinum Man, like I said, came out very late today, so that we're not going to get to talk about that one. So we will talk about episode 12 from last week. Zach, what's your thoughts on this? Because, man, I got to say, the further we get on this, I just don't give a shit about our protagonist. I really don't.
The sadist nurse should have lived.
I mean, still a more interesting character than our protagonist. And, bro, the comments on this episode on Crunchyroll was brutal. Brutal. Where it's just like people are saying, I've never hated a protagonist as much as I do fucking Mirai. It's just like other people just like, I cannot fucking stand this guy. Like, I mean, and I don't blame him. I really don't. Like,
I mean, his character is very one-dimensional.
Yes. But at least we have other characters like Nice that carries it for us.
I mean, he's completely, I don't want to kill people, so I'm not going to kill. Which makes me sort of wonder, how did people feel about this series when they were reading it as it was releasing?
Right.
Because this was a popular enough series that it got an anime, of course, which...
Got a lot of hype leading up to it.
Yeah, which may or may not say anything. So I assume something interesting is going to happen towards the end of this, which kept people reading. But at this point, I mean, Mirai's pretty one-dimensional, and I could care less about him. And then I could care about some of the other side characters, like the commando dude. He was sort of pointless. Sadist nurse girl, I mean, she was a sadist nurse who was literally just fan service. And then the child who literally ran away. So he was pointless as well. Yeah,
a lot of pointless characters in this whole scenario here. I want to read some comments. All right, just all involving Mirai. So I caught up like a week ago, and I personally do not like the kind of MC like this being a little bitch. Like, do I hate weak and pussy MCs? Yes, I do. But I made an exception for this show because remember, this man tried to end it, and he was saved, meaning that he has found a newfound respect for life that we don't. Remember that you're not alone. There's light in the tunnel. But he's like, the TLDR, though, is the MC does not want to take another life because he understands what it means to live and want to lose your life. But this guy is still a little bitch, and I just can't stand him. Had something good going there. And he kind of went off downhill. Let's see. Let's find another one here. Okay, this is not relevant to MC, but it is kind of funny. What kind of psychopath works out butt naked? That's funny.
I mean, a lot of them.
A lot of people, yeah. Let's see. There's been a lot of comments from just today, so I do apologize on that. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, because it came out for free members today, so.
Hold on. I see why I'm not finding the juicy comments that I wanted. Because I'm looking at today's episode's comments.
Oops.
No, like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, what I will say what that person said, it does bring up a good point where it's just like he understands what it's like to be at that point. But, man, I feel like the character development for our main character is unbelievably snail-like slow.
Yes.
And it's not entertaining to me.
The fact of the matter, I mean, it is very slow, but for the fact of the matter, literally anytime he's had even a slight little development, it requires someone else to point it out.
Yeah.
Because it is so slight. And I mean, you could barely consider it development at this point.
Yeah, like I know with this episode, like, you know, because of his indecisiveness, the other character essentially had to die, Najimi, and Metropolitan was basically blaming Mirai for it. It's like, hey, because of your indecisiveness, he died. Congratulations. You know, and just bullshit like that. And now we're on the juicy comments. So the first one is Mukaido is going to die of cancer before Mirai kills someone.
Fuck.
This is one of the worst main characters of all time. Not going to lie, this shit is ridiculous. This coward is boring to watch. I really hope we see some real character development out of our main guy. I don't know how much more I can take. I'm about to jump off a cliff. Oh, Jesus, man. This show is so good and also has the most fucking cringe and basic characters ever. Now, that's an interesting comment because I honestly kind of agree. Maybe not on the cringe aspect. While there is some cringe aspects, yes, but in terms of basic, that I feel like I can get behind. The concept for this show, phenomenal. I love the concept. I love our antagonist because he's an interesting fucking character. But it's like, other than that, like, we have just some very basic fucking characters.
I mean, if you really want to look at it, antagonist is actually pretty basic too.
Basic in terms of like trademark, like copy paste, yeah, but at least he's still interesting. Here's another one. I've never hated an MC more in my entire life of watching anime.
I mean, I have, but they're purposely written to be hated, so.
This guy said it's a long one. I'm not gonna read that. He just starts off. I seriously want to slap Mirai. Starts off with that. Man, I can't get behind it. I feel like it's unfortunate because, like I said, this show has such an interesting premise and it has some very nice draw-ins. Like, I feel like Metropolitan is an interesting character that draws you in. I feel like Nice is an unbelievably fascinating character and really draws you in. But it's like, for our protagonist to be like the weakest link of this show is very depressing. Like, I feel like there are some people, I say some, that would like throw out there the same thing of like maybe like a Tokyo Avengers. Because I mean, let's be honest, while Takemichi is an interesting character as you progress the series, at first glance, I can see people's beef with him because even now in the series, he still hasn't really done anything.
I mean, to be fair, Takemichi has a much better supporting cast.
And that's the thing. Like, all of the more major characters for that show is the support. Mikey and Draken are 1,000 times more popular characters than Takemichi is, and for good reasons. But like, that's not even a fucking comparison with these two that people could possibly try to compare. Is like, you know, a series that's very good, has a good concept, but kind of a weaker main character. This is like let's say Tokyo would be here. You know, for people that's not watching the video, my hand is up placed so far. And for Platinum, it's like way down here. It's like not even close because Mirai and like Saki, just not interesting characters to me at all. I mean, it's still an enjoyable watch to a point. There are some different aspects. I mean, I feel like Najimi was more of an interesting character than our protagonist, and he was only here for a few episodes. And I enjoyed his character arc more.
And then he got honey trapped.
That was depressing. That was fucking nasty looking too. Ugh. The acid thing.
Oh, when he was melting, yeah.
Yeah, that the melting thing was fucking brutal. Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Well, anyway, I'll jump into Demon Slayer. Actually, I actually have the episode pulled up right now because I wanted to refresh on a couple of things. Okay. So I've been watching the episode. Mostly because I wanted to refresh the beginning because there was the whole like middle part of the episode towards the end I remembered very well, but I wanted to completely make sure that I was refreshing.
I literally just talked about 2 series I watched like 2 weeks ago.
Yep. I just wanted to make sure. So the episode does kick off. Well, it first kicks off with Uzai finding the first of his 3 wives. Had a nice little moment, you know, gives her an antidote, tells her to get out of here. You know, shit's about to get flashy. You know, he starts going to, you know, Uzai things, you know, shinobi things going around. You know, figures out there's something going on underground. He said there's a fight happening underground right now, and he uses his sound breathing. It's like something roar and just starts fucking battering the earth. You know, after that we come up to Tanjiro once again fighting our upper 6, and this was overall a nice little fight between the two of them because you get to see Tanjiro just like openly like kind of admit that, you know, he's a failure when it comes to the water breathing. He's like, my body is just not made for it. You know, like his sword got nicked. He's just like, you know, it's not the sword's fault. It's my fault. You know, I'm just not meant for water breathing. I can't be as good as I'm drawing a blank on the water pillar's name. I feel bad for that. And then his teacher, he's like, I can't be as good as you guys. Like my body, I just can't handle. It doesn't work well with it. It works better with the what's it called, the Hinokami whatever.
Ask me.
Like it's all. I think it's called the sun breathing is what it is. Yeah, he's like, my body works better for that, but I can't fucking do it for more than 2 swings. My body gets fucked up. So once he starts using it, like the upper six, oh shit, his movements changed. He did a couple times, and he immediately like basically fell to the fucking ground, fucking body just like just kind of spazzing out because he's in immense pain. And he has a nice little moment where he remembers like Rengoku. He's just like, focus my breathing, focus my breathing, focus my breathing. He focuses his breathing to dodge like a lethal hit, whatever. Then he managed to do it a couple more times. And we have a flashback of whenever he was trying to train himself more on using it as well when he was at, like whatever hospital right after the train arc where, the person was threatening like, I need to tell, whoever that you have 100-degree fever, and Tanjiro's begging, don't do that because I can use this better when I have a fever. So, I mean, everything there was interesting. It was good, but what stole the show was obviously everything with Inosuke. I mean, that's just a given. He's one of the best characters. So it brings it to the house that Inosuke was in, and it also says like, sometime earlier, because whenever it came to Uzai at the beginning, the battle he was hearing underground is this battle. All right, bro. So when it comes to Inosuke, you see some ladies walking through the house. You see one coming up and screaming, and she's just like, there's some boar monster running around destroying everything. And she's like, what are you talking about? You need to get ready for work, whatever. And then here comes Inosuke, just busting through. He's like, where are you at, demon? I know you're around here somewhere. And he's like going around sniffing. He's just like, there, underground. And he breaks the board. He finds a hole. He's just like, I got you now. And he jumps into the hole, and only his head fits, right? And he pops out of the hole. He's just like, unlucky for you is that I can dislocate every piece of my body. So as long as my head fits, I can go anywhere. So he starts like fucking dislocating like all of his limbs and fits into the hole. And it is such a disturbing scene because it's a very, very long tunnel. So you just see him slithering through the tunnel. And he even makes the comment, he's like, oh, this tunnel's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And it's so fucking disturbing. Because the first shot of it is like a shot where you're like looking down like a black part of the tunnel, and then you just see his boar face just come up, slithering through it, and it's just a side shot of him going through it. It's so fucking disturbing. He ends up getting to like the main cavern where he finds like the belt that belongs to Upper Six, because the Upper Six uses her belt to basically like eat people. Okay. And so you see like the belt all hanging in with this cavern. He notices on the belt like different people's bodies, including Uzai's wives, and he's just like, oh, okay. Yeah, he starts piecing together. Oh, so I guess they use the belt to eat people. All right, interesting. He sees Zenitsu, and he's like, yeah, what is he doing in here? Then the belt is like kind of has like a mind of its own, whereas like it's its own demon. So he starts fighting against the belt and everything, trying to slash people, free people. He managed to free like just 3 of them, three randoms, and then he continues to kind of free some more, including the wives, which it's been so long since I've read this. I totally forgot Suma's personality. Where, like Makio, we already kind of got to see her where she's like the really like kind of like strong, headstrong kind of shinobi. While, we already get to see the other one earlier on as well, where she's kind of gentle. I totally forgot that Suma was just like a massive bitch. And that was really funny. Where she's just like, and she's like yelling at Makio. She's like, Makio, I can't do this. And she's just like coming around with a kunai trying to do things. I totally forgot about that. That was very comedic. And then Inosuke ends up freeing Zenitsu, which gives us one of the best lines in this entire episode, where Zenitsu, he's passed the fuck out, obviously, and does his thunderclap and flash, goes around, frees everyone, destroys the belt, and Inosuke just stands there and looks at him. He's like, maybe you should stay asleep all the time. It's like, thank you, Inosuke. You're thinking what everyone else thinks. The end of the episode had Uzai coming into the cavern as well, finishing off that belt demon in a really just quick and epic way. Because as soon as he comes down, the belt demon was just like, wait a minute, I know this presence. That's a Hashira. And then he just like flies through, completely murders it, reunites with his wives. Very funny, reunion, because again, Suma's just like very emotional in the situation.
In a way.
Yes, in a way, yes. And then he ends it with like his kind of like his trademark line. Is like, he pulls his blades out. He's like, things are about to get flashy. ending off the episode. So I'm very pumped for the next episode because we're getting some really good shit now. But no, this episode was honestly really enjoyable. Shout out to Inosuke, man. He's a fucking wonderful character in every way possible. I love him so. In fact, that's actually where it's at right now as I'm watching it, is that he's currently down in the cavern. So, but I mean, it was a good episode, man. This season has been very good. Obviously, animation is as top tier as it's going to come. But had a fun watch. What was your favorite watch of the week?
Shoot, I didn't really watch anything this week. I guess Orient, because that's literally the only thing I watched this week.
Okay. Probably just Demon Slayer for me. Demon Slayer was a fun watch. Definitely not Platinum End, I'll say that. Definitely not Platinum End. All right, let's get into our manga ratings, chapter ratings, whatever, and finish off the week. Let's see, where am I? There I am. All right, kicking things off with One Piece, 1036. I'm going to give this one an 8. Actually, 9.
Okay.
Give this one a 9. We had Zoro's fight finished up here. Fights are starting to get finished up.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because we got our third Shokugeki no Sanji.
No. Sanji's fight finished up a couple chapters ago. So we do have some fights finishing up. The end of this chapter finally brought us back to Luffy and Kaido for the first time in a while. The focus has been off of them for a while. So looking forward to seeing what's going to come in the next chapter. What about My Hero Academia 339?
I'll give it an 8.
I'll give it an 8 as well. But I also got to shout out the chapter before when we were on. No, I think we reviewed that chapter. The chapter right before this one where Hatsumi first came into the picture. I laughed so fucking hard when the chapter ended with her boobs right in Deku's face, and he still has the most serious face in the world. Yes. I laughed so fucking hard at that. I can't even begin to tell you.
The comments on this chapter was, legend tells that Deku could have dodged it, but he didn't.
He's just like, my danger sense didn't go off. I wonder why, bud. But yeah, I would give that 339. That I'd probably give it an 8. What about Black Clover 318?
I'll give it a 7.
I'll give it an 8. I like the ending of all the captains.
That's why I gave it a 7.
Yeah, all the captains. The rest of the chapter was all right. I'll give it an 8. Dr. Stone 224.
7.
I'll give this one an 8, actually, just because I really did kind of enjoy that moment between Senku and Zeno. Mm-hmm. That was a nice little moment. I did enjoy that. So I'll give it an 8. That's the highest rating Dr. Stone's gotten out of me in months.
Yes.
JJK 170.
I'll stick with 7s.
I'll give this one a 7 as well. Mission Yozakura Family 112. This was a nice, very heartwarming one-off chapter. Mission Yozakura Family does a great job on one-off chapters. I will not fucking lie. I'll give this one an 8. Undead Unluck 93. So the battle with Spring has finally come to a close. It has been a long one.
What?
Yeah, the battle with Spring. It's like a...
Oh, I thought you said the Battle of Spring. I was like, what?
No, the battle with Spring.
Okay.
That has finally come to a close. It was a long and somewhat entertaining battle. It wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't nearly as good as the one we had before. The one that we had before fucking was awesome. But this one was okay. I would give this chapter, though, probably a 7, I think, for this one. What about Mashle that I did not get to read?
That's unfortunate for you. I give it an 8.
Yeah, it wouldn't load. No matter what I did, I went to Manga Plus and I went to the Shonen Jump app. The chapter would not load for me. I was very upset about that. Sakamoto Days 53. Bruh.
That old guy.
I know.
I love how they do the art on anytime he makes an appearance.
Yep.
That is an easy 9.
Yep, I give it a 9 as well. Good chapter. Elusive Samurai 45.
6.
Ooh, okay. Probably a 7 out of me. What about Blue Box 35? 9.
8.
I'm giving it a 9. Good chapter. Really enjoyed it.
I give it an 8 because they put a freaking cop out in there.
They did, but I still very much enjoyed it. Ayashimon chapter 7. This fucking guy.
I'll give it an 8.
I give it an 8 as well. Doron chapter 5.
6.
Did not read it. Kaiju number 8, chapter 54.
I'll give it an 8.
Fucking rip. Rip to that guy. Had the funeral this chapter. I'll give it an 8 as well. Dandadan 39. Did not read that. My fault. Fire Force 296. I would give this one an 8. Still very much enjoyed this chapter. Tokyo Avengers 236.
8.
Give this one an 8. Actually, give this one a 9.
I give it an 8.
I give this one a 9. I really like this chapter. Good bro chapter.
I mean, I'm looking forward to what comes next, honestly.
I am too. Eden Zero 173.
8.
Forgot to read it. My fault.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. I literally completely blanked on that series until I literally just named it off. Both of us are kind of on the out with 2 Year Eternity right now, so have not read that. I haven't read that in weeks.
Neither have I.
I don't know. 7 Deadly Sins, 4 Nights to the Apocalypse, chapter 45. Again, forgot that one too. But
dang it, Alex.
Well, because I remembered Fire Force, Tokyo Avengers, and Ranger Reject because they're like, in a Google Chrome window, browser. Those two I read in the Crunchyroll manga. So I just forgot somehow. I just forgot on my fault. But Ranger Reject 35, I would give an 8. Good chapter. Enjoyed that. Enjoying this series. Unordinary 242.
8.
9.
Okay.
I like this chapter. Weak Hero 171.
I get a 9 for me personally.
I'll side with your 9.
I just love that walk over. There's one thing he didn't consider. He's Wolf Kill.
Yep. Eleceed 150.
I'll give it an 8.
Favorite chapter of the week?
Weak Hero. Actually, no, I take that back. I give it a game if it's a Sakamoto. That freaking old guy.
I would say Sakamoto or Blue Box for me. I really enjoyed both those reads. Blue Box is actually the first thing I read this week. So I'd say Sakamoto or Blue Box for me. So, all right. Well, that is the chapter reviews. We made it through. And look at that. An episode actually under an hour. Holy shit. I don't think we've done that in a long time.
I mean, there's 4 minutes.
Actually, technically less. We shot the shit for 3 minutes before we actually started recording, like the actual show. So we have a little bit more time.
Okay.
I'm not going to stretch it to an hour. Hey, that's like the first time we've ever had it under an hour, or at least in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Next week we will have, of course, some more series to talk about. I am very excited to talk about Tribe 9. It looks like it's going to be a fun show. So I'm looking forward to watching that on Monday.
If it's anything like that creator's other stuff of Danganronpa, it's going to be a ride.
I may also check out some other series that just recently came out, like The Land of Leodel was one that I was going to look at. I might watch that. I think it could pique my interest. I don't know if it'll be something we'll review on the show. It depends on how we feel about it. I feel like it wouldn't be a bad thing to review on the show if we like it, that is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But we'll looking forward to all the new shows kicking off here soon. I will say this winter season does feel a little lackluster right now. I will say that. Unless we can find some, gems hidden in the rough.
I think just for us, I think honestly overall, there's actually some pretty good series out there. It's just not all. A lot of them aren't just not for us this winter. Yeah,
that is true. Spring will be good though. Spring will be good because we got Spy Family, Shield Hero Season 2.
Tentative.
Stop saying that, Zach. Stop putting that out into the universe, please. I want Shield Hero Season 2. God damn it. All right, well, Zach, any last thoughts?
No, just like, comment, subscribe, rate, whatever your platform allows. It does help. If you like what's going on, you can hit that subscribe button. If you actually want to be notified when stuff goes up, whether it be this show, one of our other shows, or anything else we do, you can hit the bell, and it'll let you know whenever it goes up, whatever day that is, at youtube.com/Sparky3.
All right, guys, do everything that Zach said and more. We definitely appreciate that. Hopefully you have a phenomenal rest of your day, and definitely look forward to the potential of Animan Plus news coming out this time after missing it 2 weeks in a row. And like I said, go check out Game Static, episode 70. That was a fun episode. Terrible football show. We're gearing up for the NFL playoffs. That's fun there. And we do have a new Talking About Movies and Stuff coming out next week for Spider-Man No Way Home. So that's exciting as well. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. See you next time.
Bye.